Good morning, happy people. My name is Jay Song. Everything in today's video is never financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. Everything's just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I ate red crayons for breakfast. Trading in the markets carries substantial risk. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, and especially be aware against high leverage trading. Past performance is never indicative of future performance. Okay, wonderful. All right, I'm going to look at a crypto called Fun Token to begin. I wanted to point something out. This was from this past week, and you can see that we had a target that was up here, a resistance, about 0.007 cents. And I'm not going to spend too much time building this map because we already did. If you're interested more in FUN, what I want you to do is type in the word FUN on our website. In our search bar, it's going to pull up all the image notes. All the image notes that we take for each day are tagged. So if you're interested in a specific crypto, you don't really have to wait for me to update it. What you can do is type that crypto's name in the search bar on our website, patreon.com/jsong_7. Right there. If you don't, you guys all have it in our dive session, or if you're watching this clip, just go to the little recent post and type in FLR. All the cryptos have their own unique tag, like these. They're generally spelled exactly the same. When you do, it's going to pull up previous maps, and you can use those to build. And if you don't know how to build that map, what I want you to do is they're going to show up the image notes plus the recent videos. The videos are timestamped by Melody. So when you're going to a specific video for that day, you will see my video explanation, and you can pause the video at any time and recreate some of the lines, as well as get the video explanation. I used to type out every explanation, but it takes a lot of work and time, so I just try to do the video explanation for the most part. Sometimes if it's really pertinent, I believe I'll write it out and type it. Here's one such parabolic that we are watching on Fun Token. And you can see that we have most of these spikes that are coming down in this area. And the thing about a Fun Token is we were really spiked up here in this days, and this is where we're looking to get the health. We're looking to either build above 0.007, or the weakness, we're looking to hit this area and come down. And I'm going to let you know something that's important, a little bit of a bullish thing that is happening here. But first, I just wanted you guys to see how effective some of these areas are. Okay, so at the moment of the filming, the price was right here. It had spiked up there and was right here, but look at where the price was, 0.008. Now, look at the price today. Do we notice anything very interesting about the closing of this price? It is approximately right on our resistance flat. And it's exactly on our parabolic level out, or approximately on our parabolic level out. Now, what we mean by the parabolic level out is that these parabolics that are drawn here, these yellow downmows, they do not circle backwards like a full circle. What they do, because price doesn't go backwards. But what they do, at least what I've discovered in our art, is they level out. So approximately where the bottom of the circle is, they stop and become flat in that general area. So we try to approximate the curvature as close as we can, and then we continue leveling out that curvature. And what it does is it helps us find the approximate range where we're going to be looking for a new behavior. Now, even though I'm bearish the markets, as you guys know, I've been bearish Bitcoin to 75,000. By the way, I'll tell you about it in just a bit. I just got a notification that my 75,000 position was hit and closed. I'm no longer in my Bitcoin short position. That does not mean I'm still not short the market, but as I let you guys know a few weeks back, I was bearish Bitcoin to 75. We just got hit Bitcoin 75. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But with USDT.D still playing in bearish territories and no bullish entry just yet, we can only look at shorts. However, on the horizon, I do want to pay attention to some of the bullish types of cryptos, because those are going to be the ones I'm going to be looking at with a more interest in the coming seasons. Now, one of the things we can see that is happening on Fun Token is something in the volume. Now, we are right there stopped at this area, and it does not necessarily mean I'm okay to take the next trade just yet, but I do want to let you know what's on the horizon. Now, to calculate if this crypto is going up, I'm going to use the same technique that I showed you this week. And on Wednesday, we'll spend a little bit more time. But on our Saturday session, I actually did for our all Patreon day. It's a free video. It's a free chart room. It's available for everybody. I put on YouTube. We talked continually about the microview VSA, and we talked about the volume drawing up. We call this volume drawing up absorption. And absorption is one of the necessary components when we're trying to determine if a crypto is going to break down or break up. If it's going to break down, we're going to be and continuing to go down, like maybe for TRX. What we were using for TRX was to examine the volume in these areas at the low to see if the volume is increasing. If it's increasing, that means that even if there's a buying, the buying is getting swamped with supply. So therefore, we're probably going to go down. With TRX, we can see exactly the opposite, that the volume is drying up and getting to a low demand. Eventually, we want what we call a no demand situation, or ND. When we have buying multiple times at an area and the volume is drying up, it means the buying campaign is being successful. Just because the price is being accumulated does not necessarily mean the price will be absorbed at those areas, or the supply will be absorbed at those areas. If the supply is not absorbing, it's like an opponent who makes a move, like in a combat, but just because they make that move and they're attacking does not mean they're successful. They could be attacking, but it does not mean they will be successful. Hear what I'm saying. In other words, they can attack, they're only going to expend their energy. And when it's time for the reverse or the counter move by the opponent, many times they can lose. And this case, this would be an example of somebody who's buying, or big banks, hedge funds, institutions who may be buying at a specific area. Okay, they may be buying at specific areas, but they're not successful in fully absorbing the prices at those areas, or they're not successful in absorbing the supply at those areas. So this is why in ChartRoom, this past year, we've been examining heavily volume, and I broke it up into a few main chunks of information to teach you. I gave you on Saturday the cheat sheet of the 4 main scenarios that we were looking for, or just a quick reminder of those scenarios that we've been teaching from our Wednesday sessions. They are the 4 categories, just to remind you so you know what you're looking at. They are an increase in volume at a accumulation area, equal to volume at an accumulation area or buying area, or aggregately high area. But all of these 3 categories in a down market or at the lows would indicate that we are going further down. Now, the reason I'm telling you this, and that supply is being drained or absorbed. If we see these things, that means the supply is getting absorbed. Now, if we do not see those things, and at the challenge or at the lows, in this case, we would be looking for the volume to come down. That means that the supply is being drained. Whoever is attacking is getting through. Their punches are getting through. Does this make sense? We need to understand, is the opponent's attack getting through? This is going to let us know when the balance is shifting. If the supply is draining in a specific crypto at specific challenges, it's more indicative that the buying that is in those areas will tilt the balance of power upwards. Now, I taught all these things in slow motion. You're saying, Jason, that's a lot. At a right really quickly. Watch Saturday's episode 324. Write it down. Episode 324. The date was April 5th. April 5th. Watch that video. It's going to give you lots of information. Watch our Wednesday tutorial. We slow it down. And even more so than that, you're going to get the material. In addition to that, did you add as the bonus yet?
What do you mean?
The Wednesday video from Saturday? In the bonus section, remember?
I just make public
Okay.
Saturday.
It's made public. It's on YouTube. I gave that even tutorial public. I want you guys to know very soon I'm going to add that as a bonus. But right now you can just scroll on the website and to April 5th video and you'll see that. But it will be added to the bonus section of our lessons page. I do a lot of techniques. If you're new to our community, type in the word lessons in our search bar on our website. It's going to pull up our lessons page. At the bottom of lessons 117, you're going to see bonuses. You're going to see at least 2 bonuses. This third video that I made public will be included in that section. It's going to be a bonus tutorial for volume. These are going to be the 2 main ways we measure volume, in the macro view and the micro view. Both of these views will help you, give you a good, sharp understanding of what you're looking for in volume. All right, now with that reminder, I'm now going to teach this in the same way, but instead of down markets or absorption at the lows, I'm going to show you the version where it's flipped upside down. So let's take a look. For fund token, if the volume, if price is being challenged at the highs, then what we're going to be looking for is the supply to be absorbed at the top. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like. Here is the highs that I'm going to be paying attention to. I won't take too much time, but I want you guys to see these things. This is how I was able to calculate, by the way, that Bitcoin was going to 75,000. This is how I was able to calculate USDT.D was going higher months ago, or over a month ago. This is why I told you guys this is how I calculated that XDC was going to hit lower prices, even though it's at support. If you learn this, you're going to be not just using the maps, but you're going to have a higher percentage of accuracy by knowing if something's going to break down or break up. In this case, we're going to look at examples of breaking up. Even though I'm not super bullish the market just yet, these are techniques that you can use if you're looking for something that is bullish. This is what we call the VZB, or volume zone block. In other words, in short, it's just what we're paying attention to in the volume areas. I'm challenging this area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times. If this really is selling, that is happening, it's going to happen on an up bar with closes near the low in the middle. However, we can understand something that was happening here. When this price was going, this bar was coming up to these areas. I'll show you. It came all the way here, closed approximately here, right there. Up bars start about here, went all the way up here and got closed here. That means there was some serious pressure along this line, right? If it's selling, it has to happen on an up bar, because professional selling always happens on up bars, up moves, and up trends. That's generally what it does. Either one of those 3. We can see it getting squished back here, and we came down, but then we come up and challenge those areas again. When we challenge them again, we can see another very high wick for fund. Price went very high to like closer to 0.1 cent, so a little over 1 cent. And when it did, it got squished again. So was this selling? Yes, it was. It was selling that was happening. However, now we have 2 points of selling that have a correlation between the two. And we're going to need to understand that correlation. Even if they're selling, and this is something I put, even if they're selling or even if there's buying, if there's an increase in volume at those areas, then the selling campaign is not successful. You're going to look for price to do the opposite. From point 1 and point 2, we have 2 points of volume that we're going to look at in just a few moments. Now, we barely come down the next time, and we go back up. When we came back up, the volume, the prices were still getting squished, and it was still all in the resistance area, approximately where the parabolic was leveling down. That yellow line is the parabolic. So this is where it's supposed to get attacked. This is where it's supposed to get attacked. This is where it's supposed to get attacked. And is it getting attacked? It sure is. The volume is going to tell us that for certain. We challenge again a few months later. This is a weekly chart, by the way. We can see this big W. So each one of these bars is 1 week worth of time. That's a lot of years and months that is happening here. Here is May, approximately, of 2023. Okay, 23 all the way to today. We challenge again and again. If they're really professional selling and they're dumping their holdings at the top, you're eventually going to if you're seeing them selling and trying to short it, I should say. Let's see if I can word this a little better to not confuse you, because selling is usually on an uptrend. But let me show you what I mean. If there's shorting going on, if this is shorting at these areas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we see an increase in volume, and it will look like this. If we see an increase in volume, then the shorting is failing. The shorting campaign is unsuccessful. What this means is that even if it's getting swamped, too many people are willing to pay a higher price if we see an increase in the volume. Now I'll show you how it's going to look so you're not confused. If I see the volume going up like this, then that would mean that at these areas that I'm comparing, by the way, this is a micro view. For you guys who are studying, trying to learn the category, this is a micro view category. You'll see me use yellow colored crayon when I'm doing this. If we see an increase at those challenges, this time we're not talking about the lows. I'm not using the lows. I'm measuring the highs in this example. Okay, if we see an increase, that means that the selling in this area is failing. Selling is failing. Now let's look at this logically. If you're selling something, you want to pay a high price or you want to get paid a low price? If you're selling something, do you want to get paid a high price or do you want to get paid a low price? High. You want to get paid a high price. Okay. If you sell me this mug of coffee and you sell 100 units of them and you sell this for about, I think it's about 80 bucks, right? 80 bucks for this automatic heat warmer coffee. Kept warm. I like it. Keeps my coffee warm, especially if I'm a slow drinker. Okay? I like to drink and drive at the same time. Coffee. You guys say, what? Coffee. And you're able to sell it for $80 a unit. But what if I tell you, if you just go down the street, they really love coffee. They worship coffee. They have coffee idols set up. They've never heard of such an abomination of a kept warm coffee. They're willing to pay you $300 a cup for a coffee. What now you're going to do is you're going to stop selling. You're going to pull back the selling at this area. And you're going to sell it for $200 to $300 because you can get away with that. The person who tells you where you can get paid the most money is actually the volume. If the volume is revealing that you can get paid, it will tell us in the trend because the volume will trend itself. You just have to know where to look for the volume to trend. I'm not comparing every volume. I'm comparing the VZB. And if I see that increase, I know that they're willing to pay too high a price, and therefore I'm going to be looking for a break up. In this example, we would probably be looking at 16 to 13 cents, 0.16 to 0.13 cents rather than the 0.07 cents we're paying right now, which is an increase of about 147%. 147%. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Here is an example of a failed selling campaign or the market telling us that down the street they're going to get paid more. Here's the volume. Pay attention. I'm going to show you how to do this. This is more important in a bullish market than it actually is a bearish market. But in participation of some of these things, they're going to help with a more likelihood which way you're going to break out to. Look carefully. Please pay attention. Here's the bullish example. Price challenges the VZB, which we already declared to you. This is the areas I'm looking at, right? That's the VZB. Here's the challenge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can even use that area or those two together in tandem if you want to. Here's the volume at these areas. The first time we challenged the upper areas in volume, the volume was off the chart. It was real high for that moment, right? And then we challenge the area again. What did the volume do from area 1 to area number 2? Increase. So from area number 1 to area number 2, we had the increase. And I already told you we put the increase, we put the equal to, and we put the aggregately high in the same category. All of these tell us the supply has not been absorbed. So when we see a supply, these mean supply has not been absorbed. This is the same kind of little mini diagram I give you off to the side. For the supply to be absorbed, we need the opposite. We need the supply to decrease and to disappear completely, or to be the bulk of the supply to decrease. So we would be looking for a scenario like that, or be aggregately low, which would be the opposite of this that we're watching here. Okay, it just needs to be a decrease. So this is what we need for supply to be absorbed. Check. And this is what supply is not absorbed. Okay, do you understand that? Those are the two. Or those are the two scenarios that will indicate. We're going to be looking for one of those scenarios. And I'm going to keep using this diagram over and over, this mini diagram. Take a screenshot till you get familiar with these 4 scenarios. There's really only 4 main ones that I want you to understand. We look for patterns in the trend so we can identify, are we on this side of the battle or this side of the battle? This side will tell us we're losing the battle. Okay, so that I shouldn't say losing or winning. This side will tell us the supply is not being absorbed, and this will tell us the supply is being absorbed. Okay, so now let's watch this in context. If they're supposedly selling or shorting at the top, they're doing a bad job of it. Too many people are willing to pay a high price and dump it. They challenge it again at this third point, which is approximately here. Let's kind of mark these down so we can walk through this together and get a good idea. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. What's the volume like at point 3? It's not as high as it was the first area, 1 and 2. Okay, but it's still aggregately high compared to its neighbors, right? So that is this one right there, aggregately high. So we can draw maybe this little symbol to help you wrap your mind around what it actually is. Okay, so we have a high and ultra high, aggregately high volume. Has the supply been absorbed? No, not yet. It has not been absorbed yet. Let's continue on. In this next point, we challenge the VZB again. We'll just give this a number. Let's call this point number 4. In area number 4, what was the volume like? The candles are still right. They're up bars with downtrends and we still go down. But look at the volume. What is the volume doing in this area?
Increasing.
It's still increasing, right? So has the supply been absorbed yet? No, because we're still increasing. The volume's still increasing. Everybody got it so far? So is the supply absorbed? No, we're still in this category. In fact, it seems to be getting a little bit worse than the first 2. Now, we challenge this area one more time up here. What is the volume doing here?
Increasing.
Increasing again. Even those increases are very aggregately higher than their averages. Something is up. This volume's even higher than there. If they're trying to attack, they're doing a poor job because it seems like they're not able to short it all the way down. Okay? Something is happening. What the market is telling us is that too many people are willing to pay higher prices. In fact, too many people. They're placing their orders higher and higher. They're telling us, hey, bud, if you are going to sell your item, you can sell it down the street for even more money. If they know they can get away with more money, we are left with a scenario that looks basically something like this in crayon form. Oh, let me show you. Okay. at all of the challenge areas, there's an increase in volume. So the supply has not been absorbed. Therefore, the odds of you launching a successful shorting campaign are very low odds of getting to lower prices. In other words, most likely the scenario will be an upward scenario. They have failed to short it, and you don't care who's winning or losing. You just care who's winning. Okay? You don't care really you don't need it to go up or down. If it goes up, you can make money. If it goes down, you can short it. You just care that someone's winning. In this case, the shorters are losing. They're willing to pay higher prices, so the market is going to break through. Now, sometimes this is actually categorized as an upthrust test in a downtrend, and they're testing the roof slowly to see if it's ready to break. But today I taught it in the form of an attack from shorters that are failing. But you can also view it as a test of the roof because they're planning on breaking it up anyway. They just want to see when the market's strong enough to break it, or if there's a trend that lets them know that they can get away with the launching campaign. When you're millionaires and billionaires and you're throwing money on the line, you're going to need to do such tests, and I'll teach you how to do it in the future. But for right now, we just need to read who's doing it and when it's being done. For Fun Token, this is a very rare crypto. I'm letting you know this is being done. Okay, this upthrust test is showing us that the market is no longer ready that the market is very soon ready for a breakout. This increase in volume that was done just last week and closed at Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there's a whole nother 6 days left, is letting us know that odds are going to be much higher. You're going to go and hit the next targets. Okay, so I'm letting you know that this is the category it falls in. This is how I was able to determine XDC breaking down, USDT.D going up months ago. This is how I was able to calculate many of these types of things. Bitcoin to 75,000 because of those increase in volume moves. So watch for those in the market. So if you're looking for something to be bullish, most likely Fun Token is going to do well. Lisa let us know yesterday that Fun Token was added to the ISO registry. Okay, that was pretty interesting. I can't confirm that. She's not here this morning, but that was what I heard from her yesterday. Can somebody confirm that if you guys know? Okay. Let's do some more examples. Again, I'm more bearish the markets right now, but in a bullish market, that's going to have my thing. And if I'm going to be a betting man, I'm going to bet that Fun is most likely to hit the next high price target, which is going to be 0.16 to 0.13. The level out parabolics on top. Okay, even the meteor. Sorry, let me delete this one here. Okay, the core area is about right here. There's of the most recent downtrend, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be something like. Let me draw this. If I'm looking at these candles, you can actually see the close coming back down to this area right here on top of this, even the wick side of here. You can see the meaty part get a close above, and we came right back into these areas. This is another good sign that you're most likely building like the clocks. I used to take you to the corners all the time and give you what is called the clocks. Okay, it's basically star method, some of the stuff from star method, which is a different method than sword method. It's where price starts building on itself at the fulcrums, okay, and you'll start seeing more and more bullish activity emerge, but it makes all of these type of in that sequence. So I don't always draw all of them. Most of it's simplified to parabolics, but there's some value in understanding it. Okay, I don't teach that often, but this is something. Give you that fun. All right, we ready? Triple J's had said, yeah, added to ISO, Lisa, higher highs, 10, 20 cents. I hear 22 cents. I also hear 15. I hear 3, possible move back down to 0.03. Back in December, she had said something like that. Okay. We've got, let's see, in December, we were about here, closer to here, right there. We came back down to 0.03. In these areas, we actually came all the way to 0.01 for a just short time, and then came right back up in these areas. So I'm letting you know where I'm thinking we're going to get to next. And the money that's on the table, I will take a screenshot of the money that's possibly available. It's going to be to the low side 73%, and to the high side 108%, and to the upper leveled out parabolic based on our measurement, it's actually closer to 120, 130 and 149%. So even though our target's here, most likely we're going to spike and wake up to here. So I'm going to average it out to about right there at 0.18, and I'll take a screenshot of the percentage. That is approximately 130% possible on the table. So 130% gain could be nice. And the markets definitely tell us it wants a breakout. I will put this in the notes since I believe it's very pertinent. April 7th, 2025. In today's video, I give a short tutorial explaining the volume on the upper side. This is what I believe is a failed shorting campaign or a upthrust test in a downtrend. Okay. This test is showing that people or traders are willing to pay higher prices. There is too much supply at higher prices to make this a successful campaign. Therefore, I will be looking for a breakout to the upside, meaning I expect higher prices in the future. I am expecting for price to hit its target on the upper side near 0.0182 area or 0.013 area, which is between here and here, just between the top green and the lower yellow parabolic. This is basically the lower leveled out yellow block shown in this picture. Okay. And to conclude, I will put some arrows on. So basically I already have the health marker, so let's draw that about right here is where I'm going to be looking for us to hit. Okay. Most likely in the near future, I'm going to take some kind of small position on fun, expecting a higher price. But right now, I'm still bearish market, so we're going to continue that. All right, did we have any other questions about fun? Does it mean we can buy fun now? That's a good question. Okay, does it mean we can buy fun now? To confirm, I'm going to go to a smaller time frame. I like that we're starting to sit on this area. If you do buy fun now, I think it's in a stronger position. I do want to buy it at the pullback. I would like to maybe buy it, but I'm not going to have a huge heavy position because, again, it's like the only fish that's going against the stream. And in my opinion, I'm still bearish the markets as I've been. So I'm not really looking for cryptos to go up. So if I do get a token like fun, it's like the rare diamond in the rough. And generally markets that are going against the market have a harder time trying to stay up high for long. So if you do take a position, please do not bet the bank. Take a smaller position than you maybe normally would according to your portfolio. Let it be a small percentage of your portfolio. But I like this entry. Keep in mind the average trading range. If you're going to do it, the average trading range is going to be very important. It's going to be approximately about here. So if I'm getting a position, I want to take the average trading range and give myself an expectation that price is going to fall at least to there, the bottom average trading range. So in this case, it's going to be somewhere about there, and the price is going to be here. Sometimes people use these for stops. but I would just say use them for your expectations. Okay, don't give yourself some more poor expectations. If price goes to 0.04, oh my gosh, Jason, you said it's gonna go up, and it comes here and then it goes up, don't be angry at me, because you need to always account for the average trading range, and that's basically 0.049 in this case. Okay, so be aware that some of that stuff can happen, especially with cryptos with lots of crazy wicks. All right, so I would say I would feel comfortable getting it today. Any other questions regarding FUN? Okay. Let's move on, my friends. Let's go to THETA. Let's pull up our weekly chart of THETA. Okay. We can survive resistance. We can always use a stepping stone towards this area. Okay. All right, without our breakthroughs, our next weakness area underneath this area, then we can see that price has fallen back to the target. This is our most active target at the time. Apart from that, there was our leveled parabolic here. Price began to fall towards that target. We can see price fell towards the target, stopped there for just 1 week. The next week we came down to our support line, which was approximately here. Approximately right there, based on our foundational area. Here we hit it 1, 2, 3, and even 4 times. Okay, so if we draw it approximately from here as our source point, here's our secondary point, this is a verification, and that's a verification. Of our verifications, it's a big deal when we start performing underneath that line. Take a look at how we stopped on the line before breaking down. Okay, THETA in the week of February 3rd, February 10th week, 17th week, and 9th and 24th week, we're challenging this area, but we also understand it's the underside of the leveled out parabolic. See? It's like getting stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Okay, so we're underneath the target, we're underneath the leveled out parabolic. Now we're bouncing on these areas, and we start building underneath the larger support. Okay, so this is very interesting. From here, the next thing that happens is we go back down to where? To sword cut. Here's sword cut. What do we notice happening here in the week of March 10th? Right here, about right there. What do we notice about these? What's happening here?
Bouncing on the underside of the sword cut.
Bouncing on the underside of the sword cut. That's what I'm looking for. What did we have down here that was of interest? What is this? What do we draw in green teals like this? Okay. This is our target. This is our target. And this is how you can take trades or shorts or buys. Have those targets on your map, and when price is bouncing in those territories, you can take your trades in kind. If you have a nice juicy target towards the bottom side and you think the market's short, the market's bearish, you can take shorts on those cryptos and use those to your advantage if you're gonna be buying it. Now if you're gonna be shorting it. If you're gonna buy it anyway, try to buy at the low places of a market. If the market's in a very bearish position, look for those supports to be broken. If the market's in a bearish position, look to short and even make money on the way down. Okay, if you don't know how to short, there are a few videos online, or you can ask me and we'll talk about it, or set up a one-on-one if you want to. But shorting primarily involves the futures market. The futures market is a part of your wallet, your exchange. When you have money on your exchange, you can click the futures button. And the futures button is generally a leveraged position, but you can change the leverage back to 1-to-1 if you want to be real safe, which I recommend. Don't over leverage yourself, but you put a certain portion of money and bet that the market's going down. When the market goes down, the transaction will be closed and your exchange will hold the money in lieu of your transaction. So you're basically hoping the market goes down, and that's a way that you can make money. Not every crypto you can short, but many you can. Okay. So this target has been hit, and now we'll update some of these things. Let's clean up the chart. We had a few targets in these areas. We can build a new area. Okay, all of you guys had my previous maps of previous targets that are hit. Okay, all right. What else is going to be new about this? Let's put some new stuff on here. Wow, an old sword cut became our top 2. Come. All right, some clues about how far we're going to fall. Let's take a look and see if we can extract any relevant information. We got, I would want more verification before doing a DP projection along this oscillation, so I'm not going to really add a DP projection based on the distance between here and here just yet. But I will give you the price label for the numbers that are over here. Just borrow that one on top. If price falls today, we got 24 cents on the board. Current price is 71 cents. Okay. Let's see. Here's an easy one. Here's a very easy one. Let's account for this. All right. If this is a very large support, which it has been, okay, how far am I supposed to fall after I break down from these areas, which we did? So once the weakness, in other words, once the weakness appears, how far am I supposed to fall using the method that we've been teaching the last 3 weeks, or the last, I should say, week and a half? There's a method, it starts with an E, and we can use it to tell me how far I'm supposed to fall, or when the next weakness is appearing, so I know that I'm ready for another short. Okay. What is the answer? Event line. Where is my event line in this example? So if this is my breakdown, what was the last event to happen before breaking down into this territory? Where's going to be my event line, my event angle, and then where's the event going to be pro trade? Good job, Toya. Somebody draw it for me or show me where it's at. What was the last big event? iPad's got it. Close. Michelle Firecracker's got it. Okay, good job. You guys can see them drawing on my screen. But I want you to be careful. It's not so like this. It's actually a flat. Now you've noticed I've already drawn it. I just wanted to see you guys draw it or highlight it. It's actually a flat. Okay. You guys got the right idea though. Those are the energy centers, the center of that energy. What do I do with this line if I have the event angle? That's going to be my event angle. What do I do with that? How do I use that to make money, protect money, save money? How do I do that?
Duplicate it.
Duplicate it, okay. In this case, it's just a flat line. What do I do with this flat?
Move it down to the bottom energy.
The bottom energy center. The center, the next energy center is the center of this energy here, right? It's going to be approximately here. So we're going to take that line and bring it to the lower side. What does this reveal when I bring it to the lower side?
It's already been hit when it's sitting on top of the sword cut.
It revealed something. When was the next weakness, therefore? This was the first weakness when we broke underneath the line. Do we agree? That big red line, I highlighted in white, but I'll turn it back to red. That was the first weakness at that price. If we were trying to calculate that price, we could do so easily. 124. Where's price right now?
Below.
Below. What does it mean to be below this event line? What does that mean for price?
It's weak.
It means it's even more weak. That's right. We can use that to help us navigate what's happening. In other words, we were supposed to bounce. We were supposed to, when we came into weakness, we were supposed to hit this target and bounce. But we remember from lesson number 1, what happens at a trend line is just as important as what doesn't happen at a trend line. In this case, it would have looked like, maybe the circles would have looked like here along this track. A bounce here, weakness underneath. So what happens we don't care. We know we can either get out of our position and then get back once the situation's clear. If we're in a short position, we could short it and make money. Therefore, I'll show you how. We could have done something like this. It's a little slow today, guys. I don't know why the internet's slow. I got Starlink and it's like lightning fast. But today the trading view is slow. Okay, it would have looked something like this. If we were navigating this crypto, it might have been our entry on the underside, which was somewhere about right here, shorting down to the support, either on top for conservative or the bottom. It doesn't matter, but that's our range. Okay, we would have made the money in between there as a short if you were taking a trade like this. Now, that would have been successful short. However, you can exit your trade either on top or on bottom, depending on your analysis. And then, if you're looking to continue the short, if you see prices building in the next move, building on the underside, you're ready to take another short, either on the bottom or on the top, and you can short it to the next, your target area. In this case, we came lower, we hit the target, and then we came back down today and hit the lower side again. But if you're seeing you building on the underside of your targets, you're looking for that next weakness to reveal. So the very fact of you building on the underside in this area indicates you're in the next weakness area, because we weren't supposed to be underneath at all, or at least building underneath. We built underneath. We even had an uptrend that you could have hunted and took a smaller short there. This was an example of a secondary short. Short number one, short number two. This was, you were supposed to bounce on this. We did it. In fact, we fall through, then built on the underside, we're going down. So this one is not valid, but the red one is. It is valid, the short. So we're looking to continue shorting in this example. In a simplistic sense, I know that's a lot. In a simplistic sense, this trade would have been only lasted from here to here, and the next trade triggers when we're building on the underside of that weakness area. It tells us a lot of information. What does happen at a trend line? It doesn't happen. The event line helps us navigate how far we're supposed to fall and what's happening next. So this was our exit as well as our entry after the fact. Okay, so that's something that's for theta. Now, if theta's been hit, and that's the event line, if I can use these in addition to their event function, I can use them for any other oscillation function, such as a key angle. If this is a key angle, and what I mean by that, I'll show you. Hold on. If this is a key angle, you can put event line / key angle. This would be my phantom side, right? Okay. What might I want to do with my phantom angle and my event angle?
DP projection.
I can DP projection that. How do I DP projection the distance or the oscillation between these two angles?
You measure it.
I measure it. It's simple, right? I just take a simple line between here and here. I'm measuring, and then I just bring that straight down. Okay. Then I take another event line or phantom angle, it doesn't matter, they're the same angle, and I bring it down to there. All right, now I have a good projection about how far price should fall. It should therefore fall to somewhere down here, and this is going to be the price. Let's type the price block. DP at 0.29, 6, and 0.265. Okay, so now I'm at 26 to 29 cents. Not bad, not bad. Oops. Somewhere in here is where I'm hitting the ballpark area. 24, 25, 26 cents might be where we're going to play in these areas. And this is a very good thing. All right. Are there any more targets that we can calculate between here and here? Yes. And I'm glad you asked. Now, so far, I showed you this event line here, which was the last big thing. Is there a second event that would happen or may possibly happen? If the markets continue to be bearish, what's the next event? The answer is basically already on the screen, but I want you to read it in this context so you can always be thinking event. After we broke down of our main resistance, is there another event line that may be at play? If so, where is it? Let's start with the energy centers. Can someone circle the energy centers for me, the major ones? Do we agree? Are those ones okay? Are those the major energy centers?
Yep.
Oh. All right, good. I agree. All right, let's clear our annotation. So those ones, you gave them to me, they were approximately here and here, and then the lower one here. These are the major centers of energy, right? This is our break line. This is where the game changed. Now, we already counted for these two, right? So those are done. What's the last?
Don't count that one.
Don't count which one?
That one.
Oh, that down here? That one's part of our major line. But yes, it's an energy center. Good job.
And that one right here.
Those are more micro energy centers. They're not the major ones. If we simplify, it's going to be something like that. And these are going to be our energy centers. Okay. Energy centers. If you're still on these lessons, I want you to take a screenshot. This is just simple practice for you. All right, now that we're left with something that looks like this, in the simplistic sense, we can now calculate our next energy center. So we can now calculate our event line. So what's the event angle, therefore? What is the last thing to happen before the breakdown, apart from that little flat here?
Don't you already have it up there?
Correct. I just need you guys to identify it.
No, it's the green dotted line and the one below it.
Okay. Can you show it? Can you circle that line or draw a line alongside of it? The point why I do this is so that you think not what to draw, but how to draw. Good. Did you see what she drew? It's this angle here between those energy centers. Eventually, you're going to get so good they're just going to pop out and scream at you, and you'll be able to catch them. All right. Now we know that if this is our event line, okay, if that's our event line or event angle, okay, what do I do with that angle?
Duplicate it and move it to the bottom energy center.
That's right. I duplicate it and move it to the bottom energy center. So I'm going to bring it to that lower energy center down there, right? And we're going to click it in place along the track. And this is where things get really interesting. So I'm letting you guys know, this is approximately the angle that price should respond to. If I'm in a free fall, it's not just a support line based on that angle right there. It's not just a support line. It's the event line. It's a verified oscillation with one of them being verification, my friends. Pay attention to what I'm showing you. I'm giving you gold here. I'm showing you how to calculate the secrets of price's oscillation. It's very much a psychological thing. Sorry. If I drew it from this source to this source, this area right here is a verification. This is telling me, hey Jae-Sung, you're doing it right. Okay, that's what we call a verification. When price responded there in that area and bounced off, that was telling me that your angle's correct. What else is telling me my angle's correct? The lowest point in this area is actually here, but price bouncing on these areas multiple times is also a part of verification. Meaning, I'm verifying to the max. So which is my dominant oscillation in this area? It's actually price moving back and forth between this angle. Okay. In other words, in a simplistic sense, we have price moving and oscillating between here and here. So really, where's my bottom? If I'm trying to calculate the bottom and I'm playing below my target, how far am I supposed to fall? Somebody show me. Somewhere down there. That's right. Most likely, if the markets continue to be bearish, I'm looking to play somewhere down there at the event angle, which is phantom. It's the event line. This is where we're going to be looking for us to go towards, which means there's money on the table for this, provided we continue in a bearish territory. All right. You're saying, okay, Jason, you're making a pretty interesting case, but I don't really know about theta falling that far. I know maybe the map shows that's a support, but Jason, is there a more higher degree that we're going to go down? How can I might determine with a more higher degree of confidence that we're going down? Without spending too much time on it, I will show you in brief. I'm going to hide my lines, and I'm going to show you quickly approximately how we can determine that. I'm going to turn on a weekly chart. We already did target system based on some of these down here, and let me see if I had, let me do target system one more time. I'm going to hide my, I need to put on target system first. I want to make sure that was our lowest target. One moment. Price is, I think, is going real slow.
Hey, can you explain that again? You're using the lowest point to the highest point?
Yeah. Normally my target would be measured in here, but since so much time has passed and I already believe I measured these, I'm just bringing the lowest point until any further or most recent action in this case. This one's a little bit more different than I normally do because I usually break it up in segments, like that segment, then that segment, then this segment. Since I already know that I've already done these examples, I just want to first confirm that I have done any new targets, and by if I revealed the target here, then I know I had it included the whole thing as a whole segment, but as a whole you can too, provided you're covering the most recent event before the breakdown. This one I haven't really taught because I just teach you to do the highs, but all of this would be just supplemental afterwards. In this case,
that's why I was getting confused.
Yeah, don't worry, don't try to replicate me right now. I'm just trying to confirm that there was nothing new. In this case, there's no target after this fact based on the whole. Let's go now to the most recent segments. This is where this will look familiar. All right, our most recent segments are going to be as follows. Number one, from here to here. Let's see if there's a target. I don't have any target. Those targets are all hit. Okay. And then after this one, the next segments to the low side, we're at the lows right now, so there won't be any more targets below here because we can only measure here to here. And likewise with the last one, there won't be any targets from here to here because it's at the low. Okay, so the last target we have is here. Now we already have that one on the board, so there's not going to be any new viable targets for us. We can only rely on event line, DP projection, and the like. Okay, so just as a confirmation, that's one way we can verify how if we're going to have a lower target. Now I don't have those lower targets, just DP projection, which are a type of target. There's one other way that I can use to confirm if I'm going lower, and that is volume. Okay, I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to look at volume, and let's do the micro view. This is where I draw in yellow crayons. We're going to take the lows as if they are the volume zone block. Primarily, I want to be looking in this area. That's going to be my VZB. Okay. We'll break this down into a few areas. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What I'm going to be looking for us to confirm if we're going lower is one of these 4 categories. Okay, if they're challenged, if there's buying that's happening at the lows, it's going to happen at the bottom. We're going to see some strong increases in volume. However, those increases can be read together, much like individual letters make an individual sound, but they form a word. But the word also has a certain meaning on its own and a meaning in context. Okay, so when I read that word, absolutely, it means something that's generally positive. But if I say absolutely not, in context, at the end of the phrase, it means the opposite. This is such an example. These are the 4 things I'm going to be looking for as I taught you earlier. I'm going to be looking for an increase in volume. That would mean that the buying has failed and price has not absorbed. And then I'm going to be looking for prices in this case to continue lower. Okay. I'm also going to be looking for the next thing is equal volume. That would also mean that the volume is not absorbed. The supply, I should say. Put the word supply. Okay. All of these things will mean the supply is not absorbed. And the final thing that would mean the supply is not absorbed is aggregate volume, which is aggregately high. That means I'll be looking for volume in general just to be high. Okay, those are the three scenarios that would indicate that the buying campaign in this example is a failure and that we're going to see lower prices. This would indicate they're going to be looking to pay lower prices. If I'm looking to go for prices to go higher, I'm going to be looking for that campaign to be successful. In that case, I would look for the supply to be absorbed. I'll give you a test. What type of volume what would the volume look like if the supply was going to be absorbed? Okay, if they're buying at point 1, 2, and 3, 4, what type of volume? What would it look like in the volume to tell me that the supply is being absorbed?
No demand.
Okay, we would look for a no demand situation. What would that look like?
Low volume.
Okay, it would look like low volume. We'd actually see aggregately a decrease in volume at those points. It would look something like this at the end. We would see the volume drying up. In other words, we would see a decrease in volume. This would equal that the supply is absorbed. So as they're challenging 1, 2, 3, and 4, we would see them absorbing the supply. Absorbing the supply would mean the buying is successful, and therefore we would be looking for higher prices. In the beginning, understanding this is a little hard, but I'm doing it over and over again with crayons to get it so in you that you got it. Okay, it's going to be one of these scenarios. You can take a screenshot if you want to. Otherwise, we're going to do this live, and I'm going to let you know what's more likely to be the case. So this is going to let us know, are we going higher or we're going lower with more probability? Not that we're guaranteed, but more probability. Here we go. Let's do this together. Let's pull up the volume, see if it's clear. It may or may not be, but we're going to see. Okay, this is a very unique scenario. I'll have to give you one more piece of information here. Okay. All right, in this case, we can see that the volume from areas 1, 2, and 3 are primarily decreased. Primarily. But still aggregately high. This is the average. Okay? The average, this is still aggregately high. This is low, but still aggregately high, meaning compared to its neighbors, it's still high and still above average. And here's where we're starting to get this. So this is not going to be so clear. If anything, we're still in this scenario where it looks like this. Aggregately high. Okay. Okay. That means on average, it's still high based on its averages. Okay. And relative neighbors. This would indicate that the supply has not really been absorbed, at least not yet. Okay, it's not like super clear that we are falling under the scenario. So this was going to be that scenario here in the last page. Now hold on, let me get it. All right. So this is where we fall under this category right there, aggregately high. Okay, from the first image. Sometimes it's very clear, sometimes it's not. At the moment, therefore, the supply really hasn't been absorbed. But there's something else that's quite unusual. We can see in a very high volume bar at the top here in this area. Then when we challenge that area again, we still see that's very high. It's not an increase, it's still high in this area. Now, if this high in context fell into weakness, which it did, let me show you. We're going to read this in one other area, and I'm going to say, I'm going to read this in one other context. In this case, it's telling us something unique. If the volume was into an area of weakness, which is here, then it's telling us this was selling, and it may have been strong selling or dumping at the top of a market. Here we get it again, and that move is into weakness. This up move is into weakness. Both of those areas indicate that we're having a strong player. Somebody's heavily shorting the market at these tops. And sometimes if you do have a lot of selling pressure, you can win. You can win the game, or really knock down the game. In either case, you want to do well to continue to read who you're playing against. And this is where I'm going to say, because of this selling pressure, I'm going to still be a super bear. I'm not super bearish, but I'm going to be more bearish. Although it doesn't give me a strong indication that we're going down, it still tells me I'm playing against a lot of short sellers in this game. And those are like the sharks in the water. Those are usually indicated on single bars in macro and micro type view. And we'll get to that more in a future session. Let's write some commentary on theta. Okay. Theta has not had its supply absorbed. And the event line is lower toward 0.29 to 0.26 cents. In addition, heavy selling appeared at the top as revealed in moves into weakness with ultra high volume up bars. This indicates a strong opponent and strong selling. Not just a test. And that's like compared to the previous where those up tests, but we didn't get into any new weakness. We were just oscillating sideways from the previous cryptocurrency. This is those moves into weakness. This is cause for concern for higher prices, for cause for concern for any expected bullishness. With the most recent support underneath the event line and price reaching the lower target, I would be more bearish theta. However, I will not short it. I would not short just yet. Build rather underneath the target, and this may indicate a possible short. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. The target is on the lower side 0.69 cents. 0.69 area. Okay, so I'll draw this for you. I want to build underneath here, and then we'll talk. Okay, I want to build underneath there, then I want to short and take the trade from here to here. Okay, that's going to do a few things. It's going to reveal weaknesses under this old flat, which I didn't really draw so much, but it's something like this. It's going to give us more room for us to bounce and go up and still be right. So I want to make sure that I let somebody else take the risk and I short once I'm solidly building underneath these areas. Okay, so that's going to be an entry, something like that, but not yet. Okay, so this might be possible entry. So if you're watching this and you want to short theta, something like that, and then I will finally conclude with seeing how much money's on the table. Okay, let's see how much money's on the table. From this area to about here, about 140%, 145%. So that's pretty good. I hope you guys do well with THETA. Any other questions, THETA? 145%. It's about the same as the last one. So if that's about how much we're looking to get for the bullish move on fun, I want to see some more shorts with that type of money on the table. Okay. But wait for the entry, since we don't have a complete supply absorption right now. Okay. So wait for the entry. All right. Got it. Get your screenshot. Save it. Put alerts on your chart. Let's go, son. Let's go. Okay. The next one we're going to do is, which crypto is this? ALCX. Okay. Price closed underneath in that weakness area. This one has some money on the table to 477. So I won't do this much. I won't do any more on this one. We did the event line. We calculated we're underneath the event line just the other day. And look, we're still falling underneath that. Here's Sunday and here's today. So it's already fallen. So that one's already good. Okay. If you're in a short on this crypto, praise God. If you're going to buy it anyway, pay for the low price around 477 to 415. Okay. Got it? Take a screenshot now. Okay. All right. Let's go to Radium. Radium has came back down to its parabolic level. Now, this level parabolic was based on this area a while back ago, right? A while back. Here's November of 2024. And that's where we've been playing out along this track, okay? So, this is the importance, guys, of foundational areas, okay? What I mean by that, if I hide my lines, you're going to see it clearly. When you start taking off in an area, pay attention to how it started, okay? I'm going to say that again. If you start taking off, we can say these are our low, and this is our low energy center, that's our high energy center. But look how it takes off. If it takes off along a curve and it starts revealing that there's a curve shape, level off the parabolic and you're going to find bottoms, okay? Basically, it's going to put you close to as possible. If you want to verify your parabolic angle is correct, duplicate your angle and bring it straight up and look for verifications along those tracks, and it can generally get you somewhere in the ballpark, okay, of where you're supposed to be looking. Okay. It's going to help you identify. Now, what is the purpose of having a leveled off parabolic? How is it going to help me in this case? Somebody please tell me how it can help me make money, save money, protect money.
If it goes underneath that line, it's weak.
If it goes underneath the line, it's weak. Otherwise, we're supposed to bounce, right? So if I start building on the underside of here, it's telling me an important piece of information. What is it telling me?
We're going down.
We're going down, most likely. So if I start seeing it's building there, now I'm supposed to bounce, but if the bounce is weak and I start bouncing on the underside, it would look something like this. And this is where on our first series, our first year, I always drew this symbol for you here. I always drew like that symbol. But now I'm using circles in that's how I'm doing this, to show you the concepts over and over again. But that's basically all we're expecting, okay? We're looking for structure to be and reveal that we're going to go down. Okay. So that's how we can use that to our advantage. Let's see. Let's go back to a weekly chart to simplify that. I live to worship you. Nothing can ever take your place. My precious Savior, I give all to be. Hit. I'm gonna put the word hit, so you guys just have some updates regarding this. All right, let's see. Now that we have a big low and a big high, what might we want to do to calculate if we do break down how far we're going to fall? A couple things we could do. How can we do that? Let's do it together, please. If we're going to go down or if we're going to go up. How can I calculate? Target. You can do target system. And I'll just measure simply from those two energy centers, here and here. We'll take a measuring block and we're going to measure that. Okay, that's what we'll do. So let's do that now. To give myself a little bit more screen space, I'll do that. So I'm going to come to my tools down here at the bottom, turn on my target system, which is my fixed range volume profile. If I have two bottoms, I'm going to use the furthest one out. It'll be this one. Let's bring it up to the top portion up there. And there we go. It's going to measure from here to here. Are there targets on bottom? Yes or no? At first glance?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody show me where the target is. How far might price is supposed to go if we start getting the next weakness? Where's the target? Good job, iPad. What was the previous target? Somebody show me the previous target. Do you see what he's drawing on the screen? Good job. Here was the previous target. It's approximately about right there. Is there verification that these targets are active and getting hit nicely? Actually, this is a little bit of a range between here and here. Is there verification for that target?
Yep.
Yep, there sure is. It's letting us know in the past that was correct. Here on the top side, when we bounce, that's also a verification that these targets are strong. Okay, look for them. So this one was hit. We can fade it away for the most part. Okay. We may have to pay attention to that later. For the most part, it's done. The next target down here, between this column and this column. And now we can bring this into view. There's our target. Is there verification that this target is active and getting hit? Verification for this target?
Look at that wick right there.
Yeah, right here, back in 2024. So that might be a very interesting area of interest. That's where a lot of selling was happening. I'm sorry, a lot of trading was going back and forth between there. So if price falls right now, we might be looking to fall towards maybe that support side, which is the higher side. Generally, in my experience, price usually hits the top or the bottom, or sometimes both. It doesn't just usually hit in between. It's usually the top or bottom. I don't know why, but it does. Okay, 0.8788 to 0.51 cents. So if you're going to buy this anyway, you may want to pay one of those two prices. 0.51 cents, 34, or 87 cents. Current price is $1.61. That's about double the distance, right? 16, 18, yeah, a little, almost double. So we're looking therefore about those prices. Okay, let's hide our target. No, we don't need that. It serves its purpose. Okay. Now let's do something else. I identified lack of interest buying, small buying happening here. Let's take a look to see if any new things are happening. Into this area of weakness, we come down on this down bar right here. Yeah, that one right there, into that area. It's very high volume on that down bar. Interesting. Why do you think there's so much volume on this down bar for the week of February 24th? And then if it was really buying, we want to see us getting close and pressure back up, but we didn't follow through. We had that pressure, but then we continue going down. This is the volume as we crossed over this major important area that we had based on these energy centers. Here and here. Those are the two energy centers. What's important about the volume in this area? What might that volume mean to have very high volume on that moment on the exact bar that we cross over? What type of volume is that and why is it important?
Pushing?
It might be pushing volume. Pushing tells us something important. What does pushing volume tell us?
They want lower prices.
Okay, it may tell us they want lower prices, possibly. What else might pushing volume tell us? There's a word I'm really looking for. Starts with a P. Maybe not exactly starts with a P, but it's important. Anybody remember about the principle of pushing volume? What does it mean to have a push? And yes, it is pushing volume. Okay. That was our pushing volume. Okay, the answer is, does anybody know what the answer is? I'm going to write it in. Don't forget it. Here it is. On purpose. Purpose is the word. When you see pushing volume in areas where they're doing this, that means that they have pushed it into this territory on purpose, which means they want lower prices. But the move more so is on purpose. Pay attention when we see pushing volume, okay? We were supposed to bounce in that area. The candle looks like maybe it's got that pressure, but you don't have any follow through. In fact, you continue going further down. This is a strong telltale sign that move was on purpose. They threw money at it to bring it to a lower territory. Okay, somebody was purposely shorting it, dumping it, things like that. Okay, that means this is a strong indication that the game changed from this oscillation. If the game changed from that oscillation, I might want to confirm that I am oscillating. Am I oscillating at this angle? Is it powerful? Yes or no? And how do we tell?
The round action.
Okay. I need to understand what the oscillation is so I can DP correctly. Okay. It's not so much the round action, but what I'm actually looking for is what I call verification. Okay. So if this is my key angle, in other words, this is one of the angles. If I bring it up here to this energy center, this is the verification that I'm doing it correctly when price hit that angle exactly. Okay. These two areas tell me that price primarily may be oscillating in this area. What can I do with that oscillation? How can I use it to make money? Save money or protect money?
Duplicate it.
Duplicate it and do what with it?
Move it down.
Move it down. Okay, so now if I take the angle of my key angle, I can bring it to the lower side and use that as a potential support line, which is called the, what do we call it?
DP projection.
That's right. There's our DP projection. So we can project that price should fall to there, either along this track, and that track rises higher, so the price will go higher and lower. What do we observe about this oscillation? I mean, about this support. What do we observe? What observations can we make about that support?
It overlaps the target.
Did you guys see that? It overlaps this target. So we might be thinking, hey, this is a vortex between this segment and this segment. That's our window of time where price has a higher odds of bouncing if we come out or in. Okay. Afterwards, we're dealing with two separate issues. But right now, we can be, if price falls now, we can be dealing with the same issue, and therefore it's a stronger support. By the way, if prices fall in this area and they start building on the underside of these areas, what does it mean?
Delay.
If it builds on the underside.
Oh, the underside, weakness.
Weakness. It would mean we're going further down, because that would be important. If I see pushing volume into that area, it's going to be even more powerful. But as it is, this is where to look. Okay, so we can put that on your map. Got it? Now, let's do this together real quick. I'm just going to quickly duplicate this angle. Since we verified it, we can label it phantom. We can label this one down here key angle. While I'm doing that, one more question for you all. How far is price supposed to fall? Is it supposed to fall directly to the DP, or is there something else that may happen before then, or is supposed to happen before then? Can anybody calculate what was supposed to happen after we broke this strong oscillation that's verified? What was supposed to happen between after we broke out here?
Sword cut.
Sword cut. We can draw a sword cut. Fantastic. Okay. Here's the sword cut. It's about right there where we broke. That's good. Okay. What else? We can use sword cut to see if price comes back up. We'll probably be looking at those prices to get hit. Okay. What else? How far are we supposed to fall once we entered that weakness? Right there.
You can fall to the support line. You could fall to the target.
Okay. There's
and then
one.
iPad circled the parabolic
Okay.
line.
There's something.
And then I guess the last one would be look at volume.
There's something else I'm really looking for. If we're gonna fall in this area as a weakness, which we had on our map, it's there, by the way. Okay, that's the weakness that you already had. if we're going to fall here, how far are we supposed to fall? There's something that's going to be the dominant tell of how far we're supposed to fall. It starts with an E.
Oh, the event?
Yeah, the event line. Good. Somebody calculate where the event line is. I want you guys to get in a good habit of thinking event line first. Okay, somebody draw the event line on my screen. Let me make it a little bigger. Okay, there we go. What was the last thing to happen before we broke into this weakness here? Okay, what was the last event? Good job. Who drew that in green?
I did.
You did. Good job. Fantastic. From this area to about here, did you see what she drew? I'll even make it in color, that green, bright green color in honor of Michelle Firecracker. All right. Any verification along this line? Show me.
Yes.
Where are they? How many? Let's see somebody else will draw her verification. Besides Michelle Firecracker. She's the top ranking trader here. Apart from
I already
Camino and
okay,
iPad.
somebody else did it.
Good job. Good job. Here. We got a few pros in the group, like InvestBox and iPad and whoever iPad is. I never know who iPad is. Whoever's joining on their iPad. This angle, if I bring it down backwards, we got a few. So if I bring it here, I got verification here and here. Did you see that? Here at the core, here at the wick. Oh, sorry, wait, not that one. Here at the wick, here at the core, here at the core, and approximate some wicks there. So it's telling me verification. I just picked one place and I got those verifications. Okay, oh sorry, two places, and I got the verification. So I should have at least two verifications by drawing that angle. Okay, if I place it here and here, I got verification in the back and in the pass. So you should have at least two verifications for this line. You don't always have to have multiple verifications, but it's nice when you have them. What does it mean when I have those verifications?
That you're doing it right.
That you're doing it right. And that's why it's great to have verifications. If you don't have them, you may not be as confident in your trade, and that's okay to not be confident. Don't take the trade if you're not confident. Try to stack as much odds in your favor. You're not guaranteed to have all of them, but you're guaranteed to have more odds if you've done your homework. Verification is like doing your homework. Okay? We're not gamblers. You understand that? We're not gamblers. You're like a farmer. You can make a wise decision planting. The Bible says the Proverbs 31 woman considers a field and then she buys it. So this is going to be our event angle. Let's put it on top and then let's put it on the right side. Okay. So this is our event angle and it's pretty good so far. I like it. Okay, what do I do with this event angle and how can I use it to make money, save money, protect money? Cleaning up this map while you guys are doing that. Somebody explain it to me besides Firecracker. Somebody else explain it to me. How can I use this event angle to protect myself, make money, save money? Is she the only one who knows? Duplicate it and bring it to the lower area. Good job, Bridget. We're going to duplicate it and bring it to our lower area. Where's the lower area that I have to bring this event line to? It's nice that I drew that angle. What do I do with that angle? Where do I bring it to, Bridget? Can you draw on my screen where? Click on the zoom annotate button and draw on my screen. Can somebody circle the area? I can't see if you guys draw it. Oh, somebody did right there. Good job. Wow, right there. That's the lower energy center. So we're going to take this angle and duplicate it here. And it's going to give me an important piece of information. It's going to tell me approximately how far I'm supposed to fall. If I bring it there, what information does it reveal? Let's bring it about right there. Okay. What information does it reveal about where price is and what it's doing?
It's a week.
Why is it weak?
Because we are below that DP line or the phantom.
Yep, the event angle. We're below there, so therefore we know it's another clue that price is reacting weakly. We're not supposed to even be under the line. We were supposed to bounce on that line if price was strong. This was the first weakness. Therefore, when price closes and builds underneath the second weakness, it's telling them it doesn't have what it takes. People want cryptos to go up, but you have to listen to what they're telling them. Just like dating, right? When somebody, I love the dating market, but when a man says, I'm a bad man, I'm not a good man, you need to listen to him. If a girl says, oh, I'm not a good girl, you need to pay attention to her, okay? You need to take off your Google eye glasses, especially believers. We need to always remember, look at the facts. They'll reveal themselves. Their testimony helps them overcome, but their testimony also reveals the truth. Cryptocurrency is no different than the dating market. If cryptocurrency is telling you, hey, I'm weak, and then it says, and you're saying, oh, but it's fine, crypto, you'll go up, I believe in you, you can do it. And then it's saying, no, I really don't got what it takes, I'm even more weak than you think. No, it's fine, I'll still invest in you, I'll invest all my time, energy, and effort. The same like a dating market. It's better not to pick a fixer-upper in a dating market when you're trying to find a spouse. And the spouse is saying, oh, I'm not a good believer. Oh, I'll change him. He'll get saved, Lord. He'll become a believer. And you start pouring you out and you become unequally yoked. Am I talking to somebody? Okay. Cryptocurrency is no different. It's things you fall in love with. We fall in love with the cryptocurrency. We buy, our Bitcoin t-shirt and everything. And we become so Google-eyed that we're imbalanced and we are failed to receive the truth, even when the truth starts telling us. Now, I'm not telling you, I'm just telling you how to read what it's telling you. So when it starts giving you those things, those big clues, it lets us know. In all cases, something's not right here. In all cases, something's not right between here and here. This was weakness, this is weakness, and that's what's happening. Okay. At the moment, since this is a second weakness that was revealed at whatever price, that was at $2.48, the next weakness will be revealed here, underneath that leveled out parabolic, which is today. If we build underneath there, I'm going to show you that weakness. It's going to be here. And then from there, we're going to go down to the target. The target is overlapping the vortex before April 21st is the maximum for that vortex, approximately. I'll give it to you. April 22nd, 86 cents. Let's see how much money's on the table, and then we'll move on. I'm going to put a call out. It's approximately, it's the weekly chart. So April 28th, sorry. April 28th week. Vortex. Okay, if price is just in that pocket, I'm going to look for it to bounce. I'll take profit. Okay.
Would you DP project that other line?
Which one? Oh, this
The
one?
green
Yeah,
one.
you could, especially if it's verified, DP project it. Let's DP project that one, the green line. Okay, we're left with something like this, and would you look at that? Still the same vortex, overlapping still the target. It's a very attractive price. Okay, that means that if price is building underneath 136, I might want to take the trigger. If I have other reasons to take the trade, I might want to take the trade. But as it is right now, that is looking very attractive. 86 cents. Okay. Do you guys want me to go a little bit further about Ray? Can you short Ray? Does anybody know if we can short Ray on futures? Let's see, the money that's on the table from that price to here is about 55%. Not bad. 61%, 55%, something like that. Possible 61%. Not bad. Okay. Let me do one more thing before I go on. I think that was all I really wanted to see and do. If I'm hunting the up move, the most recent up move has happened, most down move has happened here. I don't know if I'm going to get a strong bounce, but I'll look at the volume to see if I'm increasing. And I am increasing. So there's more likelihood we're going to continue staying lower. This was the up move. It's something like that. It's a small up move, but it's something. Those and those. Okay. Sword cut. Next sword cut. Okay. So I'm looking primarily under here. Does anybody have any other questions? That's this one. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions for me? That's the price range. $1.20. I want to say about 30 cents. Build under there.